Well, today it's ladies' night again and we're checking out some high gain amps in the NUX MG30. As many of you beautiful ladies may know, I'm a big fan of the NUX MG30. I own a lot of these modeling units, especially also the high-end units, but the NUX MG30 somehow sticks out of the modeling units in the lower price range because it sounds kick-ass and it's really affordable. So I did quite a couple of videos about that unit. Please check them out on my channel. And over the time I dialed in some tones which I thought to be really nice. Of course, they're high gain tones because I'm a high gain shred guy. And yeah, today I would like to show them to you and yeah, let's compare it a little bit. So let me open the editor for you. Where do we have it? It's here. And the sound you heard in the intro, it was this patch. It's called DK ArcPad. It's my attempt to yeah, dial in some kind of tone which is similar to the newer DSP Archetype Petrucci, which is currently my favorite guitar tone. And the Archetype Petrucci, as you may know, it's the well, the Petrucci plugin, of course, as the name says, but I think it's somehow modeling the sounds coming out of the JP2C Plus Mesa amp that John Petrucci is using. Also, it has a couple of features like the widener effect, which delays one side of the signal a couple of milliseconds. And I dialed that in here with a stereo chorus, so we created the doubling effect. At least it sounds a little bit like that because this unit doesn't have the actual widener. And I, of course, I made a video about that. But that is the sound which I ended up with, and I'm using here the 6505 model or 5150 model. It's called Vivo here, and I'm using my own hammer Forward 12 Mesa V30. And I will compare it with this guy, which is the Friedman model, and this guy, it's the Rectifier model and the VH4. And for better comparison, maybe let's take the same cap, because here I'm using the own hammer V30 G80, and I think here it's just using the V30. I think I got the better results with that, so let's stay with this IR for that patch. And let's turn off the delay so that you compare the sounds. I will show you the dry sounds without the widener effect. So this is the Vivo 5505 model. And this is Friedman. And back to the 655. I know I will leave it on with the I will leave the delay on. Friedman. And I think you can hear maybe the Marshallish frequencies here in the Friedman. These upper mid-range around the maybe 2K. It has a lot of that. It's scratchy, a little bit maybe honky. Frequencies that gives it this punch. And here it's not in that pronounced in the 655. For me personally, I prefer this sound a little bit, because for leads I found these other frequencies a little bit too harsh and a little bit too distracting from the pitch of the note. So this might be the better lead tone here. And that comes from the amp really, but also I'm using a little bit of an EQ in some of these patches. But here it doesn't, or in the 655 model, it doesn't do that much except cutting off, or not cutting off, but lowering the presence frequencies a little bit. Also raising the bass frequencies, but keep in mind here I'm using a low cut at 69 Hz, so if I disable the parametric EQ, it's not that much of a difference. So this amp sounds really full and rich and well balanced by itself. By the way, here I'm using a gate in all of these patches, and also the NUX steel single drive. I think more or less same settings everywhere. So 655. But with the EQ. Friedman. Definitely more of these JCM 800 sound. And yeah, of course, I think the Friedman architecture is a little bit of a kind of a modded Marshall JCM 800 maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I guess at least. And anyway, here, as you can see, I dial out a little bit of the mids, and also in the parametric EQ I dial out a lot of the mids. So if I turn off the parametric EQ, it's really, it goes more in the JCM 800 direction, of course. And that is something which is maybe not that modern. It's more or less, yeah, like a vintage 80s or 70s guitar tone. Of course, with more gain here, but doesn't fit that well in high gain guitar recordings. So yeah, I use this kind of a V shape. Same thing with the Mesa Mark series amps, where you have these 5-band graphic EQ for the tone shaping. And yeah, if you don't use this, then it also sounds very mid-focused and very, well, annoying in my opinion. Like this. But then suddenly with the V shape, it's also used very drastically, usually. Yeah, it sounds phenomenal. But even with this EQ curve, you can still hear the characteristics of the Friedman. As with PV, think here when you play these muted strings, maybe you can hear it better. You can hear these harsh pick attack, annoying pick attack notes. What I found out is when I'm playing like amps which have a lot of these frequencies, my picking style is changing. You don't have to pick that hard. I'm doing that, of course, after a while, but I think it's a problem for many players. So I recommend to dial in the tone and also choose the guitar setup which is most comfortable for your picking style. For example, here I'm using my more or less favorite guitar, the Harley Benton Fusion, with the stock pickups, which are Roosevelt pickups. These pickups have a lot of high end, so all my sounds are basically tailored to this pickups. I lower them a lot, maybe up to 1 centimeter or as far as low as it gets here. And to compensate that, you have to boost the volume here again in the input of the of your amp, or of here in this case of the NUX. I'm using the Steel Singer for that. As you can see here, I'm raising the volume, and usually I'm cutting off the highs. I'm doing this usually with a parametric EQ. I don't have two parametric EQs here, which is a little bit of a shame, but I found out that the characteristic of that pedal is also doing that what I want, so it doesn't get annoying here. But yeah, I recommend to play around with that and adjust everything to your picking style and also to your pickups. So even if you are changing the pickups, you may think that maybe the Seymour Duncans are better. In my opinion, the Seymour Duncans are more a little bit have, at least the famous SH4, it has more upper mid-range punch, and it's working well with analog amps, and also it can work well when boosting amps. But yeah, it's still, you have to adjust, or at least in my case, I still have to adjust these input blocks always, also with the JB or with the EMGs. And here I'm setting it up differently, of course, with these pickups, but yeah, I'm quite happy with the result. And I couldn't say that I'm more happy with my other guitars which have DiMarzios or Seymour Duncans or EMGs or whatever. Maybe I will make a video about that. And I made some videos about that topic, which I personally call maybe pre-gain equalization. You can check out these videos if you find them on my channel, but they're a little bit old. Maybe I will make another one here with the NUX. Anyway, so these are the two amps, which are, well, very good amp models in this unit, I think. By the way, I'm running the latest firmware, and they made a huge upgrade with these Vivo amp model, that firmware, so I recommend to use the newest firmware. As you can see here, it's basically everything are new except gain. You have to be careful with that because it tends to get flubby if you raise it. As you can see here. Especially if you don't use this block here. It's gloomy as hell, as you can hear. Anyway, Friedman. So what else do we have? Well, here we have the Recto. And as you can hear, this amp has also some problems, maybe in the bass frequencies. Maybe I should reduce the gain here, but then maybe I have to. I'm using a compressor here. Maybe we should use the other one. How can we change to? And I don't know, how can I change here to the drive section. The wah, the thing. Oh, maybe we can use this. Okay, so let's turn off the compressor and well, let's use the Steel Singer instead. Yeah, it's much better. Maybe you can hear that suddenly it's a little bit more mid-focus, so we can try to raise the bass frequencies a little bit. happened? Suddenly it's not working anymore. Okay, let's stay with this sound. And what I did here is I'm also dialing in some kind of a V shape, but here with a I'm using only a small region of the mids, because here suddenly if you disable this, you have this huge bump in the mids around the 800 Hertz. I don't know where it's coming from, but so I'm using this this EQ here just to dial out these annoying frequencies. Yeah, I think it sounds nice, but it's not as tight as the other amp models. And maybe it's the same problem like with the PV, that I'm running the gain a little bit too high. So I'm still, I think there's an issue here with these with this editor, because suddenly it doesn't change. Here you have the steel singer. I don't know. Let's save it. So here we have the steel singer. Let's reduce the gain. Yeah, it's much better. Sounds much tighter. And if we turn off the chorus, I don't know if you can hear it. There's some kind of breakup here. Sounds a little bit like the power amp distortion. And that is something which happens here in this unit with some amp models. And yeah, they removed it with some of the amp models, but somehow it's still there with this Recto amp. Anyway, there's another one which I would like to show you, which is the VH4. Which is working much better. Really fat and tight. And this is my favorite amp model, together with the 6505, at least for high gains. What do we have here? We dialed back the mids a little bit. Here we can crank the gain. It's not flubby, no breakup. Yeah, using the own hammer, and the EQ, it's our V curve, really wide. If you turn that off, Maybe also nice, working live, maybe great depending on your mix, but so if you compare this to the 6505, has more presence frequencies, more thump or bass frequencies. Maybe a little bit too much here. Yeah, so also we can dial that out a little bit. VH4. Recto. And Friedman. Man, what is the thing with the Rector? Somehow it seems that the overall volume that goes into the amp is too high. But if I lower it, then I have to raise the gain here. And it's, yeah, still distorting in the lows. I don't know, maybe they have to rework that amp model. Finally, there's another one which I used before, which is based on the Brit 2000, maybe the Marshall DSL. Not necessarily known as a high gain amp, the DSL, although if you boost it with the pedal it has kick-ass sounds. It's a very good sounding, organic sounding amp, which I own. Also very nice. I'm quite happy with the result, especially it has this nice around 400 Hz. Around the 400 Hz is a little bit bump, which helps you to let your lead sing and let you hear the pitch of the note. It's something the PV doesn't have. The PV is maybe the better choice for metal rhythms. And the VH4 is somewhere in between. Although I dialed it up, the mids out a little bit here. So, as you can see, this unit has a couple of kick-ass high gain amps, and also, like here with this amp, didn't do much here with the EQ to get a good tone. Just be careful with the gain. Here I use a little bit of an parametric EQ, but yeah, it doesn't do that much. Also the VH4, I think, of course I applied this V curve here, but the actual amp dialed back these a little bit, but nothing fancy here, I think. And also with the DSL, here as you can see everything at noon, bass middle treble, raise the presence a little bit, and applied the V curve. And always I use the steel singer. So that combination, it seems to work great, especially if you have a an IR which is well balanced. So I recommend these Mesa own hammer IRs. And it was a little bit more difficult to get these round full tones with the stock IRs, I have to say. So I'm always using this, and I recommend to use these third-party IRs. If you don't want to buy one, I'd recommend to use one which is called, I think, Best IR in the World or some shit. It has a lot of presence frequencies, but if you dial that out, it's also very well balanced. Other than that, yeah, I recommend these amps, except for the Recto maybe. It's a little bit, yeah, it has to be reworked in my opinion. But the VH4 DSL and also the 5505, they were great for high gains. So hope this helps you to get the best out of this unit. If you got any questions, please post them in the comment section below. Otherwise, yeah, have a nice summer and goodbye.